Yeah, welcome to my channel. If you saw the Belgium Grand Prix, well, you saw what it is. But let's be honest. Quite honestly, the fact that it was a 1-2 with Mercedes, I don't think they're back. Honestly, it's more so to the point where like it was just a case of a little bit of luck. I want to say more than anything else. Put it this way, because like Russell winning off of a one tire strategy change, that was a big gamble. Let's be honest, that was a big gamble. I don't think that was a case where like he would have won it had Lewis basically pushed him a little bit more. Quite honestly, more so to the point where like if Piastri doesn't have that issue in the pit stop because of one of the mechanics or one of the pit stop people, it's possible he'd be number two, maybe number one for that matter. And I think it's more of a case where like what we're seeing basically is sorry, I'm just like, looking at something very quickly. More so to the point where Hamilton is a case where it's fortunate that he got two again. Like he's been putting up podium. Well, he's been on the podium for quite a few. But quite honestly, whatever. It's a situation where I think we are start now witnessing the skills of Piastri, Oscar Piastri. I mean, I was if you see my other videos and my prior videos, I was calling out that Piastri probably is far more better than what we anticipated, and I could see why now that Otan basically was pissed off that McLaren stole him from Renault because they basically had a star and he knew it too. And I think it was more of a case where like it's now to a point where, quite honestly, we might be witnessing the birth of another star. I mean, we saw how Verstappen was in 2015, 2016, basically. But this is a case where I think now we're going to see Oscar's brilliance. Now, the question is like, can McLaren retain him? Because let's be honest, with McLaren like only maybe 40, 50 points practically 50 points behind Red Bull for the Constructors' Cup. If if Piastri can finish in the top two and Norris can finish in the top two as well to our top three, to the point where like Sergio doesn't score any points, this might be McLaren's shot to win the Constructors' Cup and show that they're back. Ferrari, it's going to be a different story, and it'll be interesting to see how that works out with them. Basically, I mean, Leclerc. I mean, it's going to happen. The question is like, it's going to be interesting to see next season with Leclerc and Hamilton how they work together. But quite honestly, I hate to say this, but Checo, I know good as he is, I think we're. It's time for Red Bull to get another driver. And quite honestly, I think that driver, whether it be Suki from whether it be Suki or whether it be more so, quite honestly, I would have said Hot Signs would have made more sense because seeing what Signs was doing with Ferrari, it probably would have made sense for Red Bull to bring Signs back, and like the fact that both Signs and Verstappen were both at that time with Toro Rosso coming up together. I mean, it would have been interesting to see how these two would interact with each other. Ricardo, I hate to say it's Daniel. As funny as he is, as personable as he is, I think it's time for him to leave because honestly, I don't think he's got the skill sets anymore. Even when he had the car. Look, put it this way: McLaren last year and the year before they were doing decent enough, and they had the car well enough to the point where like it shows right now with Toro Rosso himself as well. So Daniel, it was always a case like, oh, Daniel, because he doesn't have the right car. But in reality, it looks like it's just him. His skills are just eroding at this point. Quite honestly, I think it's a case where like if anything, he's probably got to leave. I mean, I hate to say this, but like, even if he was in a Red Bull car, I think it's more of a case. I don't think we would be seeing him winning. I think he'd be crashing the car more and more, quite honestly. It'd be interesting to see if Hamilton was in the same Red Bull car as Verstappen, but it is what it is. I think well, it'll be interesting to see how that works out next year. But again, congrats to Russell. I'm not taking anything away from him. It was a gamble, and it was a gamble strategy that worked out, but it could have backfired massively. Quite honestly, if those tires had degraded more so. But I think what we should take away from this race is Piastri is showing his capabilities. The fact that he can be a top contender, especially with the McLaren. I think we're witnessing something amazing with this driver, and I think we're witnessing it. His another superstar, basically, not another Schumacher. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna say another Schumacher or Lewis Hamilton for that matter, because let's be honest, I don't know where Piastri is, but if this would be impressive to see if Piastri does next year come out to be, well, I don't want to say come out to be, but it'll be interesting to see next year, next season, how Piastri is in the drive, in the for the championship. Because right now he's number fourth at 164, so he's not that far from Leclerc. Maybe 10 points away from Leclerc, and maybe 33 points away from Lando. If Oscar were to let's say win the next four races, if he were to win the next four races, he overshoots Lando and becomes the number two spot. And at that point, if he becomes number two, we witness the birth of him basically at that point. But it'll be interesting to see. Again, let me know your thoughts with this, because do we think Lando is going to be the new? I don't want to say Lewis Hamilton or Michael Schumacher, but maybe the next Verstappen. Like, I don't know. Will be interesting to see. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from Max. I think he's going to have some off days here and there, but Max is, I think, definitely going to win the championship this year again as well too. Quite honestly, I think he's going to win it. It's just a matter of who is going to challenge him next year. I don't think Lewis is. I don't think Leclerc is either. But it'll be interesting to see next year. Will both Oscar and Lando challenge him? So Checo, I hate to say, is as good of a driver he is. It's more so to the point his age is showing, and I think his skills are eroding as well too. That I think it's time for him to basically leave. Unfortunately, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Bottas were to take that spot, but I think Bottas himself is actually losing it as well too. Not Lando Stroll, but Lance Stroll. Honestly, it's showing that this kid does not deserve to be on the track. He should not be there at all. Alonso, it's showing the brilliance at this stage in his career that he's still good enough. But honestly, I think it's more so that Alonso should retire again. But outside of that, yeah, let me know your thoughts. Do you think we're going to be seeing Piastri for the next coming years as being the great, a great one, and more so winning championships? Do we see McLaren making sure to retain him at that point as well too? Because let's be honest, if Leclerc doesn't do really well with Hamilton next year, Ferrari's probably going to drop Leclerc, and they're probably going to try to lure Piastri at that point as well too. But again, it'll be interesting to see. If you like my channel, like my video, like my content, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. With that, I'll leave it at that. Again, I do read my comments and I do respond to them when they warrant a response. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.